Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into a topic that is absolutely essential for any business to survive and thrive: risk management. So let's get right into it.
So, what do you think keeps a CEO up at night? You might guess it's the next quarter's profits or a big product launch. And sure, that's all important. But what really keeps them tossing and turning are the threats they don't see coming, those hidden landmines that could blow up years of hard work if they're not ready. And that's where this quote from Jack Zaran really hits home. In the world we live in, risk isn't just some item on a checklist you tick off and forget. It's constantly changing. You need a living, breathing, holistic approach to make sure your business can handle whatever gets thrown at it. So let's get on the same page. What even is risk? Well, at its heart, it's just being exposed to the chance of a bad outcome. But here's the cool part. While you can never get rid of risk completely, you're not powerless against it. The game isn't about avoiding risk, it's about managing it smartly. All right, so let's pull back for a second and look at the big picture here. How should we even think about risk from a high level? Here's the fundamental truth. Risk and reward are two sides of the same coin. You can't get a big reward without taking on some kind of risk. Think about it. If you try to build a fortress and eliminate all risk, you're just going to stagnate. The real goal is to understand your risks, handle them, and even choose which ones are worth taking for that sweet, sweet growth. Okay, so how do you actually do this? It's not as complicated as it sounds. It really boils down to this super powerful four-step process. This is like the foundation of all good risk management. Let me break it down with a simple example. Imagine you're planning a huge outdoor concert. Step 1, identification. What could go wrong? Rain for sure. The headliner could get sick. The sound system could fail. Step 2, analysis. Okay, how likely are these? Rain is pretty common this time of year, but the headliner canceling is hopefully pretty rare. Step 3, assessment. What's the damage? Well, a downpour could completely wash out the whole event, so that's a huge priority. And finally, step 4, response. You book a backup indoor venue, just in case. Same exact thinking applies to business, just with, slightly bigger stakes. So once you've pinpointed a risk, what do? You've basically got 4 main plays in your playbook. First, there's avoidance. Super simple. You just don't do the risky thing. Maybe you decide not to launch in a really volatile market. Second is reduction. You take steps to make the risk smaller, like installing a sprinkler system to reduce fire damage. Third, you can transfer the risk. This is what insurance is all about, right? You pay someone else to take on the financial hit. And finally, there's retention. You just accept the risk and plan to deal with it yourself. This works for small stuff that wouldn't be catastrophic. Okay, so that's the framework. Now let's get real. How does this apply to the huge threats businesses are dealing with right now? First up, a huge one: ESG risk. That stands for environmental, social, and governance. And let me tell you, this is not just some buzzword anymore. Investors, customers, regulators, everyone is watching this stuff closely. It's about how a company actually impacts the world. So let's unpack what ESG really means. On the environmental side, you're talking about things like climate change, right? How does that impact your operations? Then you've got social. This is all about people. Are your workplaces safe? How are you treating your employees and customers? And finally, governance. This is the how you run the show part. Are you fighting corruption? Is your board doing its job? Mess up in any of these areas, and it can be a disaster for your reputation and your bottom line. All right, next up is a threat that I'm sure is on everyone's mind: cyber risk. I mean, in a world where everything is digital, protecting your data isn't just an IT problem anymore. It's literally a survival issue for pretty much every company out there. And just look at how crazy this has gotten over the years. Back in the 80s, we were worried about simple little computer viruses. Then in the 90s, we got firewalls. Fast forward to today, we're dealing with state-sponsored hackers and AI-powered attacks. It's a constant arms race, and it just shows you why that dynamic approach we talked about is so absolutely critical. Okay. Theory is great, but what does this look like when the rubber hits the road? Let's dive into some real-world stories of what happens when risk management goes right and when it goes catastrophically wrong. Check out this number: $1.77 billion. That's the mind-blowing price tag of one of the biggest banking scandals of our time, the Punjab National Bank fraud. So what on earth happened here? Well, it was a total catastrophic failure of internal controls. You had employees teaming up with jewelers, issuing fake guarantees. They were just ignoring the rules. And the scariest part? The very systems that were supposed to catch this kind of thing were completely asleep at the wheel. for years. It's a textbook case of what happens when governance just fails. But okay, enough doom and gloom. Let's flip the script and look at a huge win. We're talking about the tech giant Infosys. They have these massive campuses in India, and one of their biggest potential problems, water scarcity. They saw this coming years ago and asked a simple question. What if we run out of water and have to shut down?
Instead of just crossing their fingers and hoping for rain, they got proactive. I mean, really proactive. They invested a ton in things like rainwater harvesting and recycling. And the results? Wow. They turned a massive risk into an incredible competitive advantage. They can literally operate in places their competitors can't even touch. Now that is turning risk management into a strategic weapon. So you see, this isn't just something for the CEO to worry about. These ideas get baked right into the DNA of a strong company through some very specific, actionable plans. You're probably going to hear these three terms thrown around: BCP, CMP, and DRP. So let's quickly clear up what they are. A business continuity plan, or BCP, is all about keeping the lights on during a crisis. Think a blizzard hits, and the BCP is what lets everyone work from home. Then there's the crisis management plan, or CMP. This is the immediate all-hands-on-deck response. A data breach happens, the CMP is how you handle the PR nightmare. And finally, the disaster recovery plan, or DRP. This kicks in after the disaster to get your tech back up and running. Think restoring servers from a backup. They all work together, but they each have a very specific job. So if there's one thing you walk away with today, let it be this. Risk management is not about being scared and hiding from danger. Not anymore. It's about building a tough, resilient organization that can not only weather storms, but can actually use them to find new opportunities, just like Infosys did. And that leaves me with one final question for you. Think about your own world, whether it's your job, your finances, whatever. What's the biggest unmanaged risk you're facing right now? Just taking a moment to think about that question is the very first step to building a stronger, more secure future.